Osama Binladen is the top US most wanted man. He is accused of being behind a number of atrocities, including the 1998 bombing of two US embassies in East Africa, that's in Kenya, and most notoriously the attacks on the Twin Towers in New York on 9/11, 2001. Since then, his Al-Qaeda network has been linked indirectly to bombings in the island of Bali in Indonesia and its capital Jakarta, as well as with devastating suicide attacks in Casablanca, Riyadh and Istanbul. After 9/11, Al-Qaeda leaders are believed to have regrouped in Pakistan's tribal areas. Bin Laden is still thought to be hiding in the mountainous region near the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. But is he? I believe Infokemp believes that he is in Yemen, where his family originally came from and where they are strongly secured. Successive operations involving coalition troops inside Afghanistan and Pakistani forces along their side of the border have so far failed to track down the Al-Qaeda leader, and his precise whereabouts remain a mystery. Maybe that's because the Pakistanis are trying to help him, BBC. Mild-mannered and polite. Those who have met Osama Bin Laden, describe him as mild-mannered and polite man who is generally hospitable to strangers. Yet he has become the most hated and implacable opponent of the USA and all it stands for. Born in Saudi Arabia in 1957 to a wealthy Yemen father and a Syrian mother, he had a comfortable childhood. Like his father, who had made his fortune from the construction business and had close ties to the Saudi royal family, the young Osama Bin Laden had religious leanings. At school and university, he was a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. Of course, their Egyptian branch is the best known. When the Soviets invaded Afghanistan in 1979, he went to Pakistan and then met Afghan rebel leaders resisting the occupation. Later, he returned to Saudi Arabia to collect money and supplies for the Afghan resistance, the Mujahideen. He made further trips, delivering aid and arms, and eventually joining the fight against the Soviets. Rebel commander. As a wealthy Saudi, he stood out and acquired a following. Egyptians, Lebanese, Turks and others, numbering in thousands in Osama Bin Laden's estimates, and we can see that he's lost 52,000 men. His family, that is, not just him. So he was right in his estimate of the Al-Qaeda strength. Joined their Afghan Muslim brothers in the struggle against the Soviet ideology that spurned religion. Bin Laden opened a guest house in Peshawar, a stopping off point for Arab Mujahideen fighters. Eventually their numbers became so large that he built camps for them inside Afghanistan. He gave the umbrella group its name, the base. That's Al-Qaeda in Arabic. As a military commander, Bin Laden was respected for his organisational skills, his bravery and above all his ability to survive. American backing. The Afghan jihad against the Soviet army was backed by the American CIA with the American dollars and had the blessing of the governments of Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. Surprise, surprise. After the Soviet withdrawal, the Arab Afghans, as Bin Laden's faction came to be called, looked forward to a warm welcome at home, but Bin Laden quickly became disillusioned by the lack of recognition of his achievements. This is the BBC story. This turned to anger when the Saudis turned down his offer to provide an army of Mujahideen to defend the kingdom after the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait. Instead, 500,000 American soldiers were invited to Saudi soil, a historic betrayal in Osama Bin Laden's eyes. Bin Laden became an out-and-out opponent of the Saudi regime and began to direct his efforts against the US and its allies in the Middle East. In 1991, he was expelled from the country because of his anti-government activities. Though that's the official story, of course. But the unofficial story is, of course, that the Americans and Saudis and Bin Ladens have been doing business for years. And then Bin Ladens did 9/11 out of their own egotism. Period of radicalisation. because of course the BBC says he wasn't radical before, he was just blowing people up for fun. He spent the next 5 years in Sudan, where he used his money to fund a number of infrastructure projects for the Islamic government in Khartoum. The Saudi government is reported to have sought reconciliation, but when this failed, it froze his bank accounts and stripped him of his Saudi citizenship. The US put pressure on Sudan's government to expel him, prompting Bin Laden's return to Afghanistan, where he became increasingly messianic and radical. By the mid-90s, he was calling for a global war against Americans and Jews, and in 1998 he issued his famous fatwa, that's a religious ruling, amounting to a declaration of war against the US. 2 simultaneous bombing attacks against the US embassies in Kenya and Tanzania followed a few months later, and also the USS Cole in Yemen. Bin Laden never fully acknowledged responsibility, but several of those arrested for their part in the bombings named him as a backer. And those people are of course risking their own families' lives by doing that. Islamic Front. Al-Qaeda's motivations and aims are varied, but include avenging perceived wrongs against Muslims, imposing a single Islamic political leadership over the Muslim world, and driving Americans and other non-Muslims from Saudi Arabia, the home of Islam's holiest sites. After 2001 attacks on the Twin Towers, Bin Laden made a number of recorded statements. Later these became much less frequent, though several recent audio messages have been attributed to him, including one in September 2000 that called on the US to stop its military campaign against Al-Qaeda. Audio messages have carried still images thought of to show Bin Laden, and the Al-Qaeda leader is believed to have stopped making video messages, possibly as a security precaution or because of his poor health. But many analysts believe that even if Osama Bin Laden were to die or be killed, his organisation has taken on a life of its own and will continue to inspire Islamic militancy around the world. And that, of course, I agree with the BBC on that point. Let's look more at the bombings, and I'll give a quick question and answer. The 2 found packages from Yemen bound for the USA on board the cargo planes have been intercepted by security officials in UK and Dubai. What is known about the packages? Officials say that the packages contain devices consisting of explosives pushed into printer-tone cartridges. The police in Dubai have confirmed that the device was seized there and carried the powerful PETN explosive. The devices intercepted in the UK were viable and could have blown up an aircraft, the UK said. Both the UK and Dubai authorities said that the devices bore all the hallmarks of Al-Qaeda, an apparent reference to the group's previous use of the PETN in other attempted attacks. The Dubai package also contained a closed electrical circuit connected to a mobile phone SIM and hidden inside the printer. The printer was in a box with a textbook on management, a copy of The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot, and various other handicrafts including pink and purple linted baskets. Earlier, US Congresswoman Jane Harman told New York Times that both packages contained computer cartridges filled with PETN. Ms. Harman was briefed by the US Transport Security Administration on Friday, said one device used a mobile phone as a detonator, the other had a timer. What is PETN? Pentathiol tetranate is a powerful plastic explosive, one of the components of Seventex. It is colourless, odourless and cannot be easily detected. It is relatively stable and used primarily as a high explosive. It is also used in medicine as a vasodilator to treat angina pectoris. It has many manufacturers including the US. PEN has also been used in a number of attacks linked to Al-Qaeda